And howdy, everyone. Eric Howard here with Tilson Homes. It is Tuesday. We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Happy to be coming to you guys, on this Tuesday on Tilson Live. I'm Eric Howard, as I said, part of the fourth generation of the Tilson family, joined by Her Majesty, Mrs. Dawn Dantzler.
What?
I had not scared you with that one yet. So anyway, Dawn Dantzler, our Vice President of Marketing and Customer Experience, responsible for all things that you see in the Tilson universe. Our website, the design center locations, the Instagram page, the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, everything that you see. All the floor plans. Let's see, the testimonials, the model home tours, everything.
I just make sure that you guys see them. I'm not responsible for the creation of any of the floor plans or the model homes. Let's just be clear. Customers, any of that. I give them visibility.
Right. Well, so anyway, y'all's engagement is fantastic, and we're grateful that you're all joining us today. Please jump into the chat. Like I said, we are live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Tell us where you're watching from. Whoa. Tell us where you're building. We have some really, really cool information to study today. In fact, it is the one thing that really separates production building in a subdivision from build on your land. Right, Dawn?
Right. Absolutely. This is like one of the key points of difference between us and kind of building in the standard community where it's like, hey, have the land and the house all is one. There's a lot of work that goes into build on your lot. So
yeah, because if we could underscore anything in the whole build on your lot situation, it would be the word your. It is yours. Yes, we did not select it. We are here to help you through it. But there are some things that we're going to need you to help us with that are an integral part of the process. And that's what we are talking about today. So jump into the chat. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us where you're building. We are talking about all things site preparation and development today. And that's typically something that, in traditional, 99% of production home building industry that the builder or developer takes care of. And while we do that to the degree that we can, in the build on your land situation, it is very, very different. There are some things that we absolutely cannot do because it is, in fact, your land. So the other thing about today is there may be a game being played at present. I don't know who might be playing in this game, but it is not often that we get to have game day in June. Okay, let's just face it. So we all miss football season. The Aggies are playing in Omaha right now in the College World Series. So any of you Aggie fans jump in. The Texas Longhorns were playing in the College World Series. So big shout out to the whole state of Texas. Had 2 teams representing them among the 8 in the country. So awesome. Obviously, only one could prevail in that decided game on Sunday. So if any comments can be posted there too. Also, I'll be asking for score updates because they're playing as we speak. And I'm not getting to watch them. So please give us scoring updates if you're interested in such things as fighting Texas Aggie baseball and the College World Series. But, Dawn, do we have any folks joining us today?
We do. We've got Will tuning in from Klondike.
Howdy, Will.
We've got Jerry joining us from YouTube. Says thank you for hosting this discussion. Absolutely.
Can't wait, Jerry. Yeah, glad you're here, bud.
We got Tracy coming in from Henley. We're officially living on the property now in our RV while the house is being completed. Framing and mechanicals inspection is scheduled for tomorrow. Yay.
I will pray for your RV's air conditioner right now.
Yes. We got Martina, who's building in Hamilton County. We have OSB, Tyvek wrap. Most of the roof is on and some of the windows are on site.
All right. Some of the windows. It's a positive.
We got Christy coming in from Livingston.
All right.
We've got Wendy, who's building Republic Grand Ranch Section 6. She got her 911 address today.
Awesome.
Yes, that's
Wendy.
awesome.
Fantastic.
We got M saying howdy. We got Sarah, howdy from Iola. We're building in Canyon C and are almost being released to estimating.
Awesome. Oh, very cool. All right.
We got Chris coming in from Aggieland.
All right, Chris, welcome.
We have a score update from Thomas. Aggies 2, Notre Dame 0, top third.
It's now 3-0. I just saw someone 3-0.
All right.
Don's like, what are we doing here?
Score update 3-0.
Okay. Don't let the score affect my demeanor. I'm a professional. We're going to see this through to the end. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine.
We got Lisa coming in from Fort Worth, building at Possum Kingdom Lake.
Welcome.
So welcome.
Okay, so Dawn, we should absolutely get into this because there's a lot of ground to cover. But folks, really, this is the one thing that again, tremendously separates production subdivision building with building on your land. Again, we're here to help guide you through this. If you got any questions all about building on your land, about design questions, financing questions, site preparation questions, specifically today, put them in the chat. We'll be monitoring it the entire time, and we will answer your questions. So, Dawn, what are we doing here today?
We are going to talk about all things land prep, and your screen share quit, so we're going to use mine instead. Just so you know.
I see that, yeah.
So just for anybody, what we're going to talk about, we're just going to go over a little bit of Tilson history, kind of go on a little overview, build on your land, since this is the thing that sets it apart. We'll talk about your pre-construction responsibilities, the important documents that you need to start the process, how you go about connecting utilities to your property, site access, and site plan. So everything that gets you to the point of construction. For those of you who may not have been with us before, we just like to go over this a little bit so you know why you can kind of listen to us. Tilson has been doing this for 90 years. So we are the most experienced rural builder in Texas, building exclusively on our customers' own land. We founded in 1932. We are family owned and operated and have been. We are now in the fourth generation, which Eric is a part of. We have built 40,000 plus homes on our customers' own land throughout the state of Texas, and an average of 10 families per week are moving into their new Tilson home. So we have got a lot of experience, so you can kind of trust that what we have to say, we are experts in this field. Built on your lot, just so everybody is clear, just means, as Eric said, the operative word is yours. So it's your lot, your land. It could be your farm, could be your ranch, could be a retirement home, could be a second home, could be your lake property, wherever it is that you own property that you want to build your own home. That's what we're talking about here. So we're not talking about a situation where you're buying the land and the home together. You have already gotten the land separate from building the house. And that is what we specialize in. And it is very different from building on land that the builder already owns. So with that, like we mentioned, it's your land. There's going to be some super important pre-construction responsibilities. One of which, was being shared by our friends in Republic Grand Ranch. You need to obtain a 911 address. So before we can start building on your property, we need, heaven forbid something terrible happens, we need an address that if an accident occurs, somebody can come and find you. So that is something that you're going to need to acquire. Go sign up for that and get an actual physical address for your property so people can get there. You're going to need to set up the utilities. Since it is your property, we can't actually grant the needed easements for the utility companies to come in and run power and do all of those things. So we need you to take care of that. So you're going to be the one setting up the accounts with those companies and granting those easements and meeting up with them to get those utilities connected. In some cases, permit application filings. There are still some counties in Texas that when they have building permits, they're not going to allow the builder to do it. They want the people who actually own the land to go ahead and acquire those those permits. So we will help you with all of the paperwork. We will do as much of the process as we can, but in some cases, you are going to need to be the one that actually does the filings. And then there's going to be, a whole list of other things that come with the home, items that we don't include in our base pricing on our website that you can choose to do instead of us, or things like the site clearing, installing your septic system, all of those kinds of land prep items that need to go on, getting site access, things like that. So this is all of the things that you would be responsible for your property. So I'm going to go over a few things that you need before you can build, some of the necessary items. The first one that we're going to go through is those documents. Then Eric's going to talk a little bit about utilities. We'll talk about site access and also site plan and preparation. So in the documents, there's going to be four pretty important things. The deed and title insurance is going to be the first thing. You're also going to need a plat and survey, and we also need a copy of your deed restrictions. So the deed to the property, and this is just your proof of ownership, that you own the land and you have the authority to tell us that we can build something on it. So what we are looking for is the official deed, and what is required in that form for it to actually be considered official is it's going to actually list who you acquired the property from and who's buying it. So it's going to be your name on this document as the buyer, the grantee. There's going to be an official property description on that deed. Sometimes it's going to have a sales price, but not necessarily. We don't really care about that. But the seller's signature on there must be notarized, and it must be recorded with the county in order for it to be a valid deed. We can't just write it down on a napkin and be like, hey, it's your property now. Like, we have to tell somebody in the government that it's officially yours. Title insurance. Whenever you are doing a deed transfer, please, please, please always buy a title insurance policy. Even if it's property that grandpa's given to you, go ahead and spend the money to get that property, get that insurance. What this does is guarantees the chain of legal ownership, that someone has gone back and tracked this land all the way back to when it was first granted and has tracked ownership from one party to another and said there is no liens, judgments, any type of dispute on ownership of this property. You have a clear title, and this just protects you from anybody coming back in the future and saying, oh, well, this guy who owned it 10 years ago owes me this, and so I have a lien on your property, or, hey, maybe I actually own this property, not you, all that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and invest the teensy bit of money that you would need to do to get your title insurance.
And your mortgage company is going to require it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting a mortgage, you're going to have, like, the mortgage company's not going to fund your mortgage until they see a clear title commitment and have title insurance.
Right.
But even if it's cash, I'd still recommend you get a title policy. That's just,
yeah. You just never know what happens in the background. And
all you know is what your parents or grandparents told you, which is probably mostly true.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly.
So yes, make sure you get that title insurance policy. The other thing that we're going to want is a boundary survey. So what this is going to do is actually show the edges of your property. It's going to be a drawing of the actual property. We're also going to want to make sure that out physically on the property, all of the corner pins are located and flagged, so we can actually see those boundaries there. The other thing that's going to be on your survey is all of your building lines, your easements, and setbacks. So this is going to tell us which part of the property we can actually build on, because there are going to be areas where you can't put a permanent structure. It's going to give all of the dimensions of your property. It should also show your flood information. And there's going to be a seal on it that tells us that it is an official survey, and it will be signed by that surveyor.
Yeah, so you can see that even on over an acre of land, which is 43,000 plus square feet, let's say this is a 2,300 foot house with a 400 square foot garage, so call it 2,700, 2,800 square feet of area. Like, you don't have all 43,000 square feet to your to build on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all yours. It all belongs to you. You own the surface of all of it. You will pay taxes on all of it. But there are building lines, like Dawn said. There are utility easements, drainage easements, setbacks over which the permanent dwelling cannot be built. So Typically what they're talking about when they say building lines, they're talking about permanent structures. So house, garage, pools, outbuildings. Traditionally, depending on the restrictions, which she'll talk about in a second, your driveways, fences, landscaping, those kind of things can go all the way to the property line, but no permanent structures can do that. And so that's what a survey is really, really critical for us to have, so that we can know exactly where, because you can see on this example here, the home is right on that far southern building line. So it's, it's a good 25 feet from the property line, but it is almost right on the building line. So that's why
that's that building line.
I know this is our property and we can find the corners. Like, we still want this for that that's too small of a margin to work with to not know exactly unequivocally where we're sitting.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. And then the next thing we're going to want is a copy of your deed restrictions and covenants, and these are going to vary depending upon where your land is located. So it's either going to come from, actually, it was part of the original deed, or there could be your ACC, your homeowners association, is going to have this big manual that says here's everything that you can do. So what the common things that are going to be in these is your minimum home design requirements. So sometimes they're going to have a minimum square footage. Oftentimes there's a maximum height, particularly if you're in an area with a view where we're trying to see a lake, things like that. It's going to say your structure can be no taller than this much. It's going to list out some required materials. So how much of the exterior of the home has to be, can be siding, how much has to be masonry, what type of roofing is allowed, what type of materials are allowed to be used. A lot of them now we're starting to see having garage requirements. How many car bays do you have to have? How many can you have maximum? Which direction do the garage doors have to be facing is something else that's coming. And then any other plan approval guidelines. It also may state some requirements for construction, including any type of necessary deposits. Do they require a dumpster? All of those good things. Do they have, restriction on how heavy the trucks can be, when they can come, all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to want to take a look at those before we start building your home.
Because we want to be good neighbors, Dawn. That's what we want to
do. We don't want to break any rules and get anybody in trouble.
Well, we can probably pause here for some questions potentially.
Absolutely. Let me take this down. All right, let's see. So we stopped at the last score update. All right, we got Linda building a Whitney D in Maypearl, and the shingles are on. That's awesome.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And Lisa's saying that even though her blood runs burnt orange, good luck today, Aggies.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Lisa.
Very sportsmanly of you. We got Courtney building a San Jacinto in Blanco County, trying to be patient, waiting on HVAC. Yes.
Oh yeah, flex duct is a real problem, y'all. It is the latest in the ever going whack-a-mole of supply chain stuff. It's really difficult.
On allocation, which is that fancy word we use now instead of ration. We've got Linda, good afternoon from 70-degree Colorado Springs. Had our stakeout last Tuesday, met with the electric co-op, had that all lined up. That's awesome. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Other than the 70-degree part, which is also awesome, but we are very jealous. We got Lisa, just curious, after being released to estimating, how long does it typically take to then be released to construction?
Great question, Lisa. So it really depends very greatly on where you're building, but sometimes it's as little as 2 months. Sometimes it's as long as 6 or 7 months. It really depends on the contractor availability in a particular area. So your sales consultant could be able to. I think Jody is your sales consultant. She can tell you with a much higher degree of accuracy exactly when you would be released to construction. But the answer is as soon as possible.
All right. We got Beatrice who is saying, hello, we are hoping to sign a contract Saturday. What needs to be done or decided on before we sign?
That you want us to build your home. That's really about it.
Sounds like that decision's made.
And where you're building it. That and where you're building it. That's really about it.
What you're building. Which house you want to build.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you need to know which house you're building and the majority of the changes, Beatrice. I mean, you don't want to have to, what we don't want to do is have to go through, be changing the plan after you initiate that agreement. But your sales consultant, if you have that appointment, they're prepared to sit down with you Saturday and go through those changes and whatever deletions or additions you want to do, upgrades, whatever credits that you're doing. They'll sit down and go with you that. So you need a $3,000 deposit, a copy of your deed if you have it, and a copy of the survey if you have it. Bring those things with you if you haven't given to them already. And that's really all you need. And just decide on which home plan and what changes you're making to that plan. And they can help you out through there.
Perfect. All right. We've got Jennifer, who's building in Maico, had a meeting but haven't signed a contract yet. Well, come on in, Jennifer. We'll make you an appointment and we'll sign that contract. Yeah. Let's go.
Let's get it going.
We got Theo. Howdy from Robertson County, Aggie Land. Foundation has been poured. All walls are up and roof. No shingles yet, but on the Apollo Durham Model Central.
That's it.
Awaiting next construction crew. Awesome. Jay is asking, who negotiates permitting in Hayes County? Is it Tilson or the owners?
Okay, Jay, we can actually do it either way. We have some homeowners that they want to take care of it themselves. They want to go down there. In other cases, we handle it. In most of the cases, we do handle it, particularly if there's a septic involved and if we're handling the septic. If the customer, if there's a septic system involved and the customer is handling the septic, it can kind of go either way. It's probably still easier. They will not approve it without a septic design. That's the biggest takeaway. So if you're doing your own septic system or have your own septic system installed, we're going to need that septic design for us to go and apply to Hayes County for the permit.
Okay, perfect. Then we've got Wesley building a canyon in Greenville, looking to get keys on July 9th. Awesome. That's amazing. I have to send us some pictures, Wesley. I want to see it.
Yeah, for sure.
We got Chris. Hey guys, will this PowerPoint be available for download afterwards? And will the presentation be archived for viewing later? So this presentation will be archived. We don't make these PowerPoints available, but you can always come back to our blog or wherever you're watching right now. You're on Facebook. It's always going to live on Facebook. So you can watch back there.
Yep.
And also your design center actually has a list of everything that we're going through with who does what. So you can get that from them too. Jay is asking, does Tilson create the boundary survey, tree survey, form survey, et cetera, or do owners need to do them?
Either way, we can do it, Jay. So I think someone maybe answer you, but we can do the boundary survey and all that, or it can be done by you. Typically, it's better if you just let us do it, because we have right now. People are waiting in line. I mean, I got a quote today from a company nearby, 6 weeks out on a boundary survey. So. And we do business with these people on a regular basis. So they're still incredibly backlogged. Don't listen to what you hear in the media. Maybe home building is slowing down in some places. It ain't happening in Texas, at least not yet. So don't let the hype get to you and start getting lax on what's the stuff's going on. Contractors are still way behind. Surveyors, appraisers are still way behind. Manufacturers are still way behind. There's still stuff we cannot get. Stuff getting discontinued all the time. Windows getting discontinued. Like I said, flex duct on allocation. I know there's a lot of media out there that you folks are having to combat and listen to and put up with. That's why we're here, is so that you can get some type of truth without a filter on it. Okay, this is really what's happening. It's what we're experiencing at the state of Texas level right now, where you're building. So let us get it for you, Jay. Particularly if it's all those involved. So he's asking about, boundary surveys, what Dawn just showed you a second ago. A tree survey, there are some places where you do, in fact, have to show, particularly around.
Here are the trees. These are the ones we're going to take down. Here's the ones we're going to replace.
San Antonio area, they don't like you jacking with their trees. They are tree people. And so they'll have you call out, 8-inch oak tree, 14-inch heritage oak, blah, blah, blah. And then they want a form survey, which is a survey that Dawn just showed you, but of just the form boards, proving that, for instance, we're not over any building lines, setback lines, utility easements, that kind of stuff. So if you let us handle that, and that's probably best.
Okay. We've got Jennifer. Driveway and electric are being started soon. Should septic come before or after we sign the contract with y'all?
Nice. Yeah.
So septic, we're going to do it kind of as we have to get a design before we can even get your permits to start building. If you're asking about when it should be installed, connect with your builder on that, because in most situations, we want to have all of the heavy stuff kind of done on your house before you actually physically install your
I think she's
system.
asking before she even signs a contract with us. And the answer is definitely no. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Don't have the septic put in until at least after we do the site evaluation with you, the stakeout, which we'll talk about more of that here in a second. And even then, like what Don's saying, probably not even until after the brick or stone or hardy is completed on the outside of the home. Again, like she said, we'll need the permit, the design and permit before we can start construction. Just because the county wants to have a very clear indication that you have a plan of how to deal with the wastewater.
Right.
But do not put the septic in before you sign a contract with anybody.
Right. Don't even start designing it before then, because you're going to want the builder and your septic designer to be working together to figure out where that septic system is going to go. How big does it need to be? All of that kind of stuff. It's part of the design process.
For sure. Yep.
Okay, we've got Shannon, building in Burnett County, patiently waiting for construction to start in August. I'm tired of the RV life. I'm sorry.
Right now that AC is struggling.
Yes. All right. We got a friend from YouTube asking, does Tilson do the trenching from propane tank to gas stub out on the house? Also, is it standard to have a main water shutoff inside the house? And if so, where?
Okay. So first question is no. We don't typically do the trenching. Typically, if the customer's doing propane or LP gas, their gas company handles it all. We don't mess with it. We don't put the gas pipe in the ground. There are a few select places where we do handle it. Texas Grand Ranch, Republic Grand Ranch, those places where we'll do the propane, everything, the tank, the line and everything. But that's only in those two areas, and only if the customer purchases it from us. So the answer is no. And then water shutoff is actually typically outside the home. Our main water shutoff is typically right down there in the ground where the water comes into your home. So there'll be your water stub and a hose bib on the outside of the home, so a little water spigot where the water comes in. If you follow that down into the ground, there'll be typically a ball valve, which is a 90-degree PVC valve where you can turn the water off or on from outside. I'm a big fan of having it outside the home because if something is happening and leaking or whatever, I want to be able to shut water off to the entire house.
Right.
I don't want any water inside the building if something is leaking somewhere and I don't know where it is and I have to go isolate it. So great question.
All right. We've got Jerry who is asking, I'm hearing it's currently 16 to 18 month build time. Is that accurate in North Texas?
So the build time is not that much. Actual construction is about 12 months, 13 months. In some cases, we've seen them close as little as 10 months, depending on where and what kind of home. But what is accurate about that would be the overall time. So the time from the time that you initially give us the deposit and this is the house you're going with until the house is completely finished, we hand you the keys. Yes, that's closer to 16, 18. And in some cases, some specific areas, closer to 24 months.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, 16 to 18 month total time is not uncommon. The build time is not that much. Actual construction.
Yeah. We've got Lisa who's appreciating my allocation equals rationing. Her husband's in the pool industry, so she gets it. They're on allocation too. They're on fancy rationing.
Yeah. If you want a pool heater right now, not that you need one, but if you wanted one, that's probably not going to happen right now.
We got Donna is so excited. We'll be building a Tilson Canyon C model and Anna moving from Kentucky to Texas. Awesome. Welcome. Chris is asking, so don't do the septic before signing. How about the water well? At what point do we build the well in regard to Tilson's involvement? I've seen some new water wells installed on essentially empty land in the development where I'm looking.
Yeah, Chris, if you have a good idea of where that's going to need to go, that's going to drive everything else anyway. So where the water well is and where your neighbor's water wells are on either side of you is actually going to kind of dictate how your septic is going to work and where it can or cannot go. So that's a thing. Mm-hmm. I definitely don't put it in the dead center of your property. Have it in an area where kind of from a design standpoint where you want that to be. You've got some time. What you might want to ask is in that area, ask your neighbors what the lead time has been on their water well installations.
Right.
If it's anything less than 6 months, you're probably okay until we at least do a site evaluation with you. Until we do that stakeout, locate the home on the lot, and then you can then have a much better idea of like, okay, hey, power's coming in from over here. We need to get power to the water well. Septic's going to be over here. Your neighbor's water well is here. And we help you through that. Go ahead and call your well guy and say, hey, let's put it in. Let me get on your schedule. If they're telling you it's 12 to 14 months of lead time,
get them when you can.
Do it. Yeah. Do it. And that's happening, by the way. That's not, I'm not exaggerating. That's a real thing in some areas, not everywhere, but in some areas.
Okay.
So anything less than 6 months, go ahead and wait till we do a site evaluation with you.
Okay. We've got Lisa asking 2 questions. Will Tilson come back to build a freestanding garage a year or 2 after the build? And does Tilson offer any garages with living space above?
No, ma'am, and no, ma'am.
All right. And then we have Andy with a score update. Ags up 3-0, still bottom of the 4th. Not jinxing it, not jinxing it, not jinxing it.
Whose little brother would do such a ridiculously irresponsible thing? Glad you're watching. Andy.
All right, you want to talk about utilities?
We should. All
right, I will give control back to you.
Seriously?
There you go. Okay. You have it.
All right, so utilities. Again, these are things that if you're on the production subdivision side, you've bought a home in the XYZ master plan community, Happy Acres. Shout out to the Do Convert friends. If you bought a home in one of those areas, all this stuff was already done and decided before you ever walked in the sales center. Whereas with Build on Your Land, we need your help. Because this is all part of the and these are things that are taking longer and longer and longer to get done. And so the earlier you can jump on these type of activities, the smoother the process is going to go and the less it's going to hold up the actual closing of your home. Power being number one. So this is the biggest holdup right now in the field is waiting on co-ops or energy companies or fill in the blank to get permanent power hooked up to the home. Now, what you're looking at here is a temporary pole. But early on, we got to figure out who the power company is, meet a representative on your site as soon as they'll possibly do it. We can maybe use temporary power to build. Maybe we can get permanent power hooked up faster. We need to figure out with you and them what is the fastest path to permanent power hookup. Right. It could be overhead, it could be underground, kind of look around at your neighbors. But this example is of overhead power, so you can see the transformer way back here in the background. So this is an overhead transformer, and then they've got some poles that they've done coming to a meter loop here. So the power line is all hooked up. We're working off of temporary power here, so this will run our saws and compressors and whatever. And then when the house is ready for it, we'll build the permanent service, and they will get rid of this, put the permanent meter on the house, and off to the races. But right now, you can Google this. You don't take my word for it. Just ask for power transformers lead time America, and it's like ridiculous. Okay, 50 weeks, 52 weeks. It's all over the map. If the power companies haven't already bought a gazillion of them, it's going to be a struggle. So this is something we want to jump on early.
Yeah, and power is one of those things. The power company is going to put it where the power company puts it. So you don't need to do a site evaluation with us or any of that. Like as soon as you know I'm going to build on my own land, like let's go ahead and get that power going. For sure. The next is the water. Going back to our good friend's question about water well, or is it a meter? So, obviously you're either going to have some type of community water, which is what this is, community water, city water, a water tap, water meter, or you're going to be on a water well. This is your water. So the well is actually here. A lot of people get that confused. The well is coming up here. This is really just a pressure tank. This is above to maintain pressure. So it's like seen the water towers when you go through a little small town. This is just a miniature version of that for your own private land. Is essentially what it's functioning as. So, is there a tap fee? Is there a meter fee? Is it across the road? What has to be done? And are you sharing it with another home on the property? We have some in-laws that work that out. We do a shared well agreement. That's a thing. Again, the water well will kind of play into, if there's water wells in the area, it'll play into this next one, which is septic systems and or sewer line. Very rare you see a water well in a sewer system, so that's probably not going to happen. Sewer would be like a public, like a city sewer system, which is fewer than 10% of the houses that we build. The majority of homes that we build are going to be on a septic system, OSSF, on-site sewage facility. And it could either be aerobic, which is what this system is, or it could be conventional. It depends on where. Not every county will allow conventional anymore, but most of the case is going to be this. And then on the aerobic side, is it going to be a spray or surface application, which is what most of them are, or is it going to be a drip application? What will dictate that will be your percolation test. How well does your soil percolate water? If it's a high propensity of clay, you may have to have a drip system, or if you're within 1,000 feet of a body of water, there's almost no question it's got to be a drip system, which is simply subsurface. So they don't want the runoff going into that body of water, into that creek, into that river, into that lake. But again, we can help you through this. Everywhere that we build, we can give you insight on, what we typically see, what the last customer see. And in a lot of cases, even we can do it. Like it could be septic system by Tilson, or we can run the sewer lines by Tilson. So again, your site evaluator will help walk you through that. All septic systems must be permitted. That's universal in the state of Texas. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, says thou shalt get a permit to put in a sewage facility. So it's typically a 2 to 4 week process. We have seen that drag out longer in some of the busier counties. So like Hayes County was mentioned earlier, Travis County, certainly. Some of these really, really busier counties, it is taking longer and longer. But a registered sanitarian or a PE, a professional engineer, can design this. Typically it's a registered sanitarian, but it has to be submitted to the county, and in a lot of cases we have to have that septic permit to obtain the building permit or the development permit. So it's not something that can be put off till later. It's something we have to have pretty early on, pretty much right after the site evaluation is done on the home. And then lastly, again, most of our homes are total electric, in that every appliance and heater and water heater and everything is all based on electricity, or some of our customers will opt to do gas. You're going to have two options if you do gas. If there's natural gas available in your area, that's an option for you, and I would recommend going with it. If not, then your option is propane, LP, which is what you're looking at here. This is an LP tank. So this is mounted above ground, and then down here, there's an application of where we're putting the LP tank underground. Again, there's access here. They have a fuel gauge on them, just like a car. Tells you when they, need to be filled up, all that kind of good stuff. But we just need to know the difference. If you're going to have LP or natural gas, all of our appliances will work either way.
So your furnaces, your water heaters, your stoves, all that kind of stuff. There are different orifices that go in. So we do need to know who if it's going to be natural gas or propane. So
okay.
And then site access. Oh wait, you want to pause for questions, Don? So we have questions that popped up.
Yeah, let's pause for questions for a second.
Okay, guys, we're gonna pause for questions or score updates or questions, comments, whatever you might have that comes across your pretty little heart.
All right. Wendy is asking for clarification because she's going to be in Republic Grand Ranch and was told that we'd be responsible for having the LP connected, that Tilson would add all the stubs for it, but we'd have to have the LP people come out and bury the tank and connect everything once done.
Okay, Wendy. Yeah, so we can clarify on that. I mean, I know that for a time there we were working closely with Texas Star Propane. I do know that their prices, just like everybody else, became very, very unpredictable because the prices from their suppliers became very unpredictable. So it may have been something more like the closer we get to it, we can give you more accurate price. I know originally when we set it up, we did have an agreement, but that could have very well changed. And so your sales consultant can get some clarity on that. And certainly the regional manager of that office of either Huntsville or Spring, I'm not sure which one you're working with, can help you out with that. But yeah, Texas Star Propane are good folks. And they've done a lot of stuff in there, and they can help through that. And also the sizing of it makes a difference. We have some customers that do 500 gallons, some that do 1,000 gallon. I know there's a significant price difference between the two right now.
Yeah. We've got Amy, who's building close to Belton Lake, dried in now and awaiting plumbing, electrical, and HVAC rough in. Also the outside paint. We love Dustin. Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Awesome. Yeah,
we'll pass that along.
Thanks, Amy.
We've got Letitia. We are looking to purchase land and build our home in Calhoun County and have no idea where to start. So this is so great.
Well, good. Awesome. Well, you're going to start in Port O'Connor like everybody else in Calhoun County. And then you're going to drive up to Angleton and do a contract. That's what we're going to do. We've been building out there, Port Lavaca, Port O'Connor for a long, long time. We love that area. We do the windstorm. We got no problem with that. We're very well versed in that. Been doing that since windstorm began in 1996. So we know all there is to know about that. So we're the folks to come see Letitia. Come see us.
Awesome. We got some friends from you too. Angela Jefferson, we plan to sign our contract in July. Do we need to have the land cleared as well as driveway and culvert installed before stakeout?
So land cleared would be awesome, yes. Particularly right now, the weather is on your side. This is the only good thing about this kind of weather right now is that you are not hindered at all from clearing. So go ahead and get it cleared. If at least underbrush. So even if there's some trees that you're like, man, I don't know, I kind of like this, I may not want to take it out. That's okay. But at least get it underbrushed where we can get in there and help you. I mean, basically, if you can't see through it, there's
neither can we.
We can't see it either. Driveway and culvert, not necessarily. You don't have to have that in, particularly if you're not totally sure of, kind of where the garage is going to be on the house or where you want that permanently. So don't feel like you need to have that done, but at least have the land underbrushed and cleared if you know pretty well where you're going to have the house.
Okay. Beatrice is asking, how can we see what granite and cabinet options are standard without being at the design center? We are trying to make decisions before we sign a contract. So yeah, really right now you need to go to the design center to kind of see that just because those options are changing a lot right now. So they can show you exactly which ones, but you don't need an appointment to do that. Just, you can just come in and they can kind of show you exactly which ones are standard. But yeah, that would be the best way right now. We don't really have an online resource for that.
Well, that and Beatrice, you won't be able to get any kind of pricing. So it won't, even if we could show you everything that's available, you'd still need to see a design center consultant so that they could tell you, because you may go, oh, well, I love this one. Okay, well, that's standard and don't worry about it. Or like, well, I will like this one. Well, that one's $14,000 and that's going to impact your budget. So it's much better to do it with a design center consultant because at least you can get pricing.
Okay. All right. And Amy's asking, when they do electric rough, can they then connect to the power pole we had installed, or does that happen later?
So, Amy, we're going to do it as early as we can. So the answer is yes. Well, if the power company will allow for it, yes, we can connect in. There's a lot of places where we do. But I would call your building superintendent, I think he says Dustin, and say, hey, Dustin, we want to know if there's a way we can go ahead and get permanent power hooked up, and he's going to be all about it if we can. If there's any way we can get that done, we're going to go for it. Because the guys are on high alert right now that, hey, power is a struggle. So if you get to a situation where you can hook the permanent power up, because we're doing in some cases where before the stone or brick even goes on the house, it's rare that the power company is doing that with us, but there are some pockets where we can do that. And it totally makes sense. Like there's no reason not to, but they don't all speak logic. So
All right. We've got Shannon asking, does Tilson provide the temp pole that is needed for electric during construction?
Yes, we do.
And Denise was updating us a little while ago that Aggie's got a home run.
Home run. 4-zip.
Beatrice is asking about the pantry hidden door that we had in the Kentmore video we did out at their location. She was told it wasn't possible for the San Jacinto pantry.
It's probably not for the San Jacinto, because the San Jacinto pantry is in fact built in. So that's if you look at the way that video is done, and actually, of course, having been to that studio right up the road here, it's actually a different room. So basically, the pantry door is really just a door into a room. So it's not into a custom built pantry itself, which is what the San Jacinto is.
Okay. We've got Linda building a Canyon C in Grayson. Hi, Linda.
Hey, Linda. Hi again. How are you?
We have a question about what's the cost usually for getting the power, water, and septic sewer done on the property?
Oof. Vastly different from place to place. So, septic systems run usually from $8,000 to $20,000. That's a big range, I know, but it really do range that much. And then, power and water, it really just depends on where you're building. I mean, every co-op has different rules. That Texas is a deregulated state, in that there is a governing authority, the Public Utility Commission, but they don't dictate what you have to charge to get work done. So a lot of these a lot of the places where we build, the power companies are a co-op or a cooperative. So it's not one of your big, gigantic energy companies, your TXUs, your NRG, CenterPoint. As you get to the more rural areas, it's like Grayson County Electric Co-op or Pedernales Electric Co-op or Mid-South Synergy, Sam Houston Electric Co-op. So what ends up Texas, New Mexico. So what ends up happening is they kind of set that like, hey, it costs us, $3,000 or $8,000 or $10,000 to bring power to your property. But you're going to be a member in the co-op. So because of that, we're going to give you a break of like X amount of dollars. So you're in Lee County, so you're probably Bluebonnet Electric Co-op typically. And so, they're going to have different rates. So the best thing to do is sit down with your design center consultant, and then actually we'll have a better idea. We can certainly give you a price on septic system. That's pretty easy. Power, best idea is to call Bluebonnet Electric Co-op and go ahead and get an appointment set with them, and they can give you that. And then if you're going to do a water well, you're probably looking at $10,000 to $12,000. If there's water tap available, it's usually anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 for a water tap. So maybe that helps a little bit.
All right. We've got Angel celebrating we're getting close to foundation. That's awesome.
Very cool.
We've got waiting to get back on foundation before it's turned over to drafting. Awesome.
Yep, engineers probably working on it.
Yep. Wes is saying that when the concrete truck came out to do my foundation, they crushed part of my culvert. When should I expect to have that replaced by Tilson? Before I get my keys, or would I have to schedule it out after all the final grading is done?
Hey, Wes, that's a great question. I would certainly defer to your building superintendent. Obviously, I'm sure they know about that. But it's not, we're not going anywhere. So if it's something that, from a scheduling perspective, we can't get it done until after you go ahead and close. Just make sure that it's on the closing document that, hey, we agreed to whatever it is you said we're going to do. That's not uncommon these days, particularly with, that's cabinet parts, window parts, different things like that are just, we don't want that to hold up you getting to move into your home because of a scheduling issue, because of all the supply chain mess going on. So just document it with your building superintendent, get a better idea from them, and they can walk you through that. Thanks for asking.
Okay. All right, we've got Laura and Andy. Our land was cleared prior to our purchase. Looking around where I think the house will be located, I found 3 or 4 cedar tree stumps cut off flush with the ground. Do we need to get those removed, or will your foundation prep resolve that?
Yeah, Laura, you're going to need to get those removed. Now, I'd wait until we have our site prep meeting out there with you, and then go from there. I wouldn't do anything right this second unless you just have someone lined up that has a backhoe. A backhoe can probably get those things out in less than 30 minutes. And that's going to be the best tool for that. Do not try and dig them out, particularly right now, because you will have heat stroke, and that's just how it is. Don't do it.
No heat stroke. All right. Will is saying if y'all are needing septic, Casey Weatherly is good, and I know he does a lot in the North Texas area.
There you go. Right. I trust Will.
You've got Casey with a score update. It was 5-0.
Let's go. Let's go, Ags.
We got Jorana celebrating. They got sticks yesterday on their canyon in Pipe Creek.
Yay. Yes, awesome. That's wonderful. I thought she said she got sick yesterday at first. I'm sorry.
I'm assuming that sticks.
It is sticks. Yeah.
I initially thought it was stuck, but I'm like, no, it hasn't rained anywhere, so we wouldn't have gotten stuck.
You have a hard time getting stuck right now. If you get stuck right now, don't build there.
Beatrice says that she was talking about the San Jacinto walk-in pantry, if that makes a difference.
Yeah, Beatrice, I don't have the plan sitting in front of me, so I don't know for sure. But I mean, certainly we could do an inquiry, send it over to, the consultant can send it over to Kent Moore and see if that's something that can be done.
Okay. And our friend in Lee County is asking, do you all have experience building in Lee County? And what's the most unique thing about building there?
Well, let's see. Besides Giddings and Page and all the minor Dime Box, Old Dime Box, Lexington, no experience whatsoever. Except for, but yeah, no, we've built a significant amount of houses out there in Lee County, all around Lee County over the last 50 plus years. Unique thing about building in Lee County. So I will tell you, the soil makes a difference in Lee County. It is kind of where the Texas kind of transitions from the kind of East Texas to Central Texas. So there are some unique soil types there, a lot of bentonite in some places. That's typically more to the southern end of Lee County as you approach Fayette County. But the soil test, it's critical everywhere, but Lee County is one of those that dividing line of Fayette County, Lee County, kind of going north-south through there on Highway 77 is it's really, really critical that the soil test is obtained, and we get a really good look at that with the engineer, because we have seen some highly expansive soil. That doesn't mean expensive. It's not an East Texas way to say expensive. It really is expansive soil.
Expansive.
In some places of Lee County. Not everywhere, but in some places.
All right. He says he is near Blue, Texas.
Yep, that's a mighty metropolis.
All right. You want to keep talking about site access?
You bet. Let's get that done. Folks, keep dropping your questions in the chat. Questions, comments, design questions, site prep questions, finance questions, Texas Aggie baseball score updates, whatever moves you. We'll talk about it. But critically important part of getting things going right now is a great time of year to worry about this, because it's easy to get access right now. We do require, though, eventually it will rain again. It's going to happen.
Yes.
And when it does, you're going to want us to still be able to get in and work on your home. And we're not driving, golf carts around. We're driving very heavy trucks. So all weather access is imperative. It's very necessary to be able to get in and out of the job site, to get heavy equipment out of the job site, dump trucks, concrete trucks, lumber trucks, all that kind of stuff in. And then you may have to have what's called a culvert installed. Culvert's just a pipe. So most roads are built like this. The road crowns in the middle. So like across here, it kind of is higher in the middle of the road so that it sheds water. It doesn't hold water. And then it goes down into a ditch. Well, water needs to be able to pass through that ditch when it does in fact rain. So you'll put a pipe in there that the size is typically determined by the county. Whatever precinct that you're in is going to determine that. There are some cases where it does have to have a permit. I know Harris County for sure, you have to have a permit for the culvert. Again, usually more in your flood prone areas. So Harris County, Fort Bend County, those kind of places, the down south where we have to generate elevation, where everything's flat. They will dictate, is it 12 inch, 18 inch, 24 inch, 36 inch, what's the culvert diameter need to be? And then go from there and get that installed so that water can pass through and you can still travel safely over the top of it. So first thing we're going to do after you do your agreement with us is come out and do a site evaluation on the property with you, where we figure out a site plan and what that's going to be, and then any necessary site clearing or site preparation that has to be done, culverts like we just spoke about, construction drives like we just spoke about, the stumps needing to be removed like our good friend earlier asked about. That all happens at your site evaluation meeting with our stakeout superintendent. And so there's a meeting that takes place on the site. We kind of help you. This is obviously not done last week because they ain't wearing jackets right now, I can tell you. I think I saw one earlier where the guy was wearing like a gator and like sombrero and just full on anything to keep from dying out in the heat.
We told people to start bringing cooling towels and water.
Without a doubt. Yeah. So you'll leave here and we'll leave here with a to-do list. Because again, there's some things that we can handle. We handle as much as we absolutely can, but there are some things that we cannot, like signing up for a power account and meeting the power rep out there and signing up for a water account and all that kind of stuff. So we measure how far those hookups are going to be, where the utilities are going to be. how all that lays out, how they're going to connect to your various septic, water, power, gas, where you are relative to your neighbor, where you are relative to the ground, how out of level the site is. Are you even with the road, lower than the road, higher than the road? Are you even with your neighbor, forward of your neighbor, back of your neighbor? So we help you with all that stuff. More of a long-term planning perspective is what we're trying to help with that at that meeting. From that, we do develop a site plan. This is a little bit more elaborate than most. This happened to be in Vintage Oaks, where they require, a lot of subdivisions do require an actual like plotted, scaled site plan for approval. Again, they're wanting to make sure that we're not encroaching on any building lines, setback lines, utility easements, drainage easements, nature trails, bird sanctuaries, whatever, you name it. So yeah, that'll be documented on one like this. Most of the ones we do are just hand drawn. They are still to scale, but in places where it is required by the subdivision or the city, we will prepare one of these for their approval. So hopefully that helps. And then we get into the site clearing itself. So either you're getting a bid and we're doing it, it's by Tilson, or the customer's getting it done. Regardless of who gets it done, all the stuff has to come out from underneath the foundation. No organic material underneath the slab. So trees, it's a great question earlier about the tree stumps, root balls, all that kind of stuff will have to come out. So don't let somebody convince you they can just go and cut it off at the ground level and you're good to go. That's not. If it's outside the footprint of the home, that's perfectly fine. If it's inside the footprint of the home, it's all got to go. So like this big root ball that you're seeing here, these are stumps and the root balls being completely removed, and then they'll be refilled with select fill and packed. So then after that's done, we can bring in any necessary dirt work material for building a pad. If we're benching the lot, again, this varies significantly across the state, region to region, geography to geography. If there's rock encountered, those kind of things. So we make sure that we do the proper drainage to make sure that water flows away from the foundation of the home. We don't want to leave it in a situation where water is standing against the home. This is why we get a little bit picky on things like cuts. Well, in Central Texas, this happens. People want to cut into the hill to reduce their out of level. And while that is a possible solution in some situations, what we don't want to do is create a scenario where we're putting the house in a hole, where when it does rain, we've put your house in a hole and water's running onto your porch or into your garage or something like that, because that has happened before. So then finally, something fun can happen. I think it's all fun, but I'm a home building nerd, so what do I know? But
the more fun stuff.
Yeah, the stuff that people like, the actual placement of the slab. So you got the form set, we got the fill material in, the plumbing's in, the poly is in, and we are pouring concrete. I think actually this is Texas Grand. This is our model in Texas Grand Ranch, I believe. So
I think so, yeah.
Anyway, so I think that's our good friend Tom Homer there in the middle on his cell phone. Because why wouldn't you be on your cell phone while people are pouring concrete all around your feet?
Because you're Tom and you're awesome.
Busy man.
That's what you do.
Busy man. Anyway, all right, Dawn. So now we have questions, I would imagine.
We do. Let me pull some of those up. We've got Wes is making a recommendation for septic in northeast Texas. So Dusty Underwood, he says, is a good person to call.
There we go.
Julie is asking, she just realized their back door opens outwards. They're set to release to construction on October 10th. We'll be able to change to an inward opening door.
You need to talk to your sales consultant, because typically no plan change can be made then. If we have an opening outward, there's probably a very good reason for it. Either it's not covered by a porch, so we're concerned about wind-driven rain getting in there, and they insulate against rain much better if they swing out than swing in, because the harder the wind blows and the harder the rain blows, it's pushing against the weather stripping as opposed to oozing around it. Or we have a concern about furniture placement and where that door would swing inside. So if it's a breakfast room or dining area or someplace like that, it's going to swing in and hit a chair or table. So, I mean, this isn't just out of the blue that we have doors swinging out. It's typically for weather resistance or furniture placement. So I wouldn't recommend changing it, but talk to your sales consultant, and I mean, it can be changed. You just may lose your slot. So
okay. All right. We have JP asking, are there guest house floor plans available? Best to add that during the initial main house build, or can it be added later? So yes, we do have a casita plan that you can meet with your design consultant and kind of review, because there's several options there for whether you want a kitchen or what you want, because it's designed to really be used for everything, like a pool house to actually being full secondary living quarters. So it's best to meet with them and go over those plans. And you can do either. We can come back and build it afterwards, or we can do it at the same time. It might be easier if you have the funds to do it all at once, just because you know everything's happening and you don't have to worry about having construction going on while you're living in the main house. But it's completely up to you. We can do it either way. We've got Will recommending saying that Casey has a guy who does driveway stuff and I think some clearing. His name, I believe, is Chad. All right, so Will is hooking everybody up with the North Texas.
Yeah, he's got resources. You can message Will and hey, look.
Yep.
You want to talk to each other? We don't. Hey, if that's our recommendation of ours, but the best referral you can get is somebody who's done this before. So
absolutely. All right. We got Richards sharing that so glad we had the clearing done before we signed. Things seem to go a bit faster.
It is. Yeah, it does go faster.
Casey is asking, do y'all do the site plan, or can you bring your own? Her dad is a PE, so he would be able to do that for her.
You don't necessarily need a site plan. I mean, we're obviously going to have to do our own. Our stakeout, our site evaluation team is going to do it. When they're physically out there measuring the distances from the corners and property lines, things like that. If a formal site plan does need to be done, it's going to be included in the price of your home anyway. Our design and drafting team is going to do it in AutoCAD. So there's no reason for your dad to do it, other than sometimes they just like, I'm a dad.
Dads just like to do things. Yeah.
We like to piddle. That's what we do. We tinker, we piddle, we break stuff, and then we fix stuff. And then sometimes we break stuff that we fix. That's what we do.
That's awesome. Julie is saying, good to know on the doors hanging out and can't wait for October. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, thanks for being open to the opinion. But yeah, it's again, there's typically a reason that we're doing that. So, and I think that's the last question. It's kind of a last call for questions. We want to be sure.
Somebody give Eric a score update, because he's very anxious.
Yeah, I need a score update. Otherwise, I'm going to end it like right now. We want to be sure you guys get all your questions answered. That's what we're here for. That's what this entire resource is about, is so y'all can come in, get your questions answered, get the fears alleviated. Like, you don't have to sit there and wonder what has to be done or what comes next, or like, just ask us. There we go. My girl, Casey. Keep it going. I mean, if you're wondering about it or wondering what the process is like, reach out to us. This is what we do. And so we want to help you. We want y'all to have all the information that you can to make the best decisions for you and your family. And that's why we do this show. Anyway.
Jennifer says she's very excited. Can't wait to share this when her hubby is off work. Come back and rewatch.
Anything like me, I'm sure he can't wait to watch a Facebook video when he's off work.
It's an exciting Facebook video. It's good.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, so folks, any questions you ask now, Dawn, how else can people, it doesn't have to end here. It does not.
It doesn't, No. So we have 12 locations throughout the state, design centers, that you guys can come and visit us in person. You can contact us on our website, tilsonhomes.com. There's all these contact forms. You can get connected with our new home specialist team and get the process started. We are also on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram as @Tilson Homes. So honestly, you kind of have to hide from us to not find us. Like, it's pretty hard. If you look for Tilson Homes, you will find us. So you can absolutely come back and rewatch these. If you're watching them on YouTube or Facebook, put your questions in. We'll circle back and answer them for you. So it's all good to go. Let's see. We have some more comments coming through. I'm going to check those real quick. Will saying, y'all have a safe and blessed week. Got to get shade up and get the chicken processing stuff set up. Got about 60 meat chickens coming this week.
Delicious.
All right. And that's Will's weekly farm report. We got Vince trying to get our Shiloh started in Fredericksburg, waiting for ACC approval from the property management before forms can be set. Is it normal to get a water softener connection for a water well?
So in Fredericksburg, I would certainly consider it. Now, you talk to your sales consultant where you are in the process. They can be added after the fact, but yes, we do. The majority of the ones we do see that we rough in for a water softener are in the hill country, are in the more limestone-ish area. The water is a little bit got more calcium in it, more minerals in it. But that's if we do see them often, that's typically where. And we don't install the water softener, Vince. We will rough in for one. So we put the water supply there, the drain. There's a 110 outlet that goes there. All that's done. Now it does drain outside. It cannot drain into your septic or sewer system. It has to drain in its own separate place. All we do is stub out for it. You will have to continue the drain out somewhere, typically like a rock bed or something like that, because it's salt. It's salt water. So you don't want that draining into your septic system, because you don't want to spray it out onto your grass,
right,
or your neighbor's grass or anything like that.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about salt water, but it doesn't make grass grow. Strange.
Lisa says, "Thank y'all. We love everyone in the Weatherford office and appreciate Tilson." Oh,
Thanks,
you, Lisa.
Lisa.
Kathy is sharing that we changed our exterior patio doors to open inward so that we could have screen doors. We have a large patio roof. Then you're good.
Understandable.
Doug is saying we are going to have a barn built before we move in. Can we have it built or under construction before we close?
Okay, I am glad you asked, Doug, because traditionally the answer would be yes. That's no problem. However, right now it would need to be done before you probably ever even start construction on the home. Mortgage companies, we're finding now, cash deal, just don't worry about this. Ignore this. If you're doing a cash transaction, this doesn't have anything to do with it. What we are seeing, though, on for the rest of us that are getting a home mortgage, mortgage companies do not want to close on the home. Won't let you move into the home and close on it if there is any construction whatsoever still happening on the site. That goes for your pool. That goes for your metal outbuilding, barns, that kind of stuff. Even if they're not being included in the loan, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with construction is still happening on the site. They don't want to take a chance of some kind of lien being filed or anything like that. Some contractor doesn't get paid, and not even by you. Hey, no, I paid my guy. Well, maybe they didn't pay their concrete guy or their steel supplier or their the labor for the guy who was erecting it, and that person goes around. So we're finding right now, we're telling folks, do not have anything else under construction while your home's under construction until the house is finished, and you move in. And I know that sounds harsh, but it is they're experiencing the exact same supply chain fiascos that we are. They can't get labor. They can't get the steel they need. They can't get the fill in the blank. That's why that's kind of been on a temporary hiatus, is because mortgage companies have said, hey, hard stop. We're not letting you do anything if there's still anything under construction. No moving in. So don't want you to get caught in that mess. I'd recommend, if you can't get it done before we ever start, wait till the house is finished.
Okay. And then we have a question from YouTube. Would y'all evaluate the land after signing a contract with y'all, and then the rest of it actually got cut off? So I'm not sure.
So we do that automatically. We evaluate the land. It's one of the first things we do is evaluate the land after you do a contract with us. So in fact, we won't come out and evaluate your land until you do a contract with us. So come do a contract with us.
All right. And that is the last question I see.
All right, folks. Thank you all for joining us. Dawn, thank you for putting this together. Kelsey, thank you for monitoring the chat. All of you, thank you for jumping on here. Those of you that are thinking about doing this, again, there's a ton of other resources for this. We've got lots of video, lots of content, lots of things to help you down the path. Those of you who are already under construction with us or even closed, thanks for tuning in continually. Thanks for trusting us. Thanks for being patient with us and bearing with us as we navigate through this really difficult market right now. And we're just glad that you trusted our family to do this, and we're keeping it local here in Texas and are grateful for every one of you. And until then, we hope to soon make you guys part of the Tilson family. We'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.